Hello friends. If you were born on March 13th, the stars, the numbers, and the ancient wisdom of multiple astrological traditions have a fascinating story to tell about you. You are a dreamer, a healer, a romantic soul with a profound depth that often eludes others. As a Pisces born on this date, your life is guided by intuition, imagination, and a mysterious undercurrent of inner knowing. But your unique personality unfolds in layers, across love, relationships, sexuality, friendship, career, and even your shadows. Let's take a deep dive into the cosmic blueprint of the March 13th personality, from classical Western astrology to the Druidic tree horoscope, from Vedic insights to your birthstones energy. Let's uncover what truly makes you. Love. Love for a March 13th Pisces isn't just a feeling. It's a universe of emotion, imagination, and soulful devotion. To you, love isn't something you merely experience. It's something you become. When you fall for someone, you fall all the way, mind, heart, body, and spirit. You don't hold back. You don't test the waters. You plunge into the deep end with the kind of hope and passion that can't be faked. And you expect, sometimes silently, sometimes desperately, that the person on the other end will meet you there, in that sacred, vulnerable space. You believe that love should be transcendent. Physical attraction and good conversation aren't enough for you. You want to know someone's soul. You want the 2 a.m. confessions, the shared secrets, the dreams whispered in darkness. You seek someone who makes you feel understood without needing to explain. Someone whose energy feels like coming home. You are not content with surface-level romance. You crave depth, resonance, spiritual fusion. Because you see the best in others, you often idealize the people you fall in love with. You're capable of looking past red flags, rationalizing toxic behavior, or convincing yourself that love will fix the broken pieces. You give people the benefit of the doubt, sometimes long after they've stopped deserving it. You don't fall in love with who someone is, you fall in love with their potential. This is beautiful, but it can also be heartbreaking. In love, you are a giver. You will sacrifice time, comfort, even your identity for someone you believe in. You will morph, adapt, and bend to make the relationship work, even if it slowly chips away at your truth. You forget to protect yourself because you believe that real love requires absolute surrender. And while that's poetic, it can leave you vulnerable to being taken for granted. You're magnetically drawn to partners who have emotional depth, artistic expression, or a mysterious edge. Musicians, poets, dreamers, spiritual seekers, these are the ones who pull you in like gravity. You understand the beauty of a broken soul, but ironically, you may feel drained by partners who can't offer stability or consistency. Your heart wants passion, but your spirit needs peace. When you find a healthy, safe love, you bloom into your best self. You become endlessly romantic, thoughtful, generous. You write long messages for no reason. You remember the little details. You show love through subtle gestures, making someone tea when they're anxious, playing their favorite music on a rainy day, staring into their eyes just to feel closer. You are affectionate, warm, and endlessly loyal. You build a whole universe out of tenderness. But when you're hurt in love, your reaction isn't always anger, it's withdrawal. You retreat into your inner world, go silent, disappear into distractions, or emotionally float away like fog. You avoid confrontation, not because you're weak, but because the idea of hurting someone or being hurt again terrifies you. Your heart is too soft for harsh endings. And even when love is over, a part of you still lingers in the memories, romanticizing the good, rewriting the pain. You are the kind of lover who can make someone believe in magic. The kind who brings back the poetry in everyday life. But for love to truly work for you, you must learn to love yourself with the same intensity you offer others. You must recognize when you're giving too much and receiving too little. You must remember that love is not supposed to hurt more than it heals. True love for you is not about logic or convenience. It's a recognition, a pull, a knowing. When it's real, you don't need to explain it. Your soul simply whispers, it's them. Marriage. Marriage for a March 13th native is not just a union, it's an emotional sanctuary, a spiritual contract, and an ongoing act of devotion. You don't just want a life partner. You want a co-dreamer. Someone who doesn't just share your bed, but shares your inner world. For you, marriage should be a place where hearts speak in whispers, where creativity flows freely, and where two souls dance to the same rhythm, even if the world around them makes no sense. You bring softness into marriage. You are the spouse who notices when your partner is quiet, who lights candles for no reason, who creates rituals out of shared moments. You are the emotional heartbeat of the home. When you feel safe and understood, your love becomes unconditional, patient, deeply nourishing. You nurture your partner with devotion that feels like a kind of gentle worship. You remember anniversaries not just with gifts but with meaning. You write vows and actually live them. But because your heart is so idealistic, you may struggle with the mundane realities of long-term partnership. You want poetry, not paperwork. Connection, not chore lists. And when daily life gets heavy or dull, you may begin to emotionally drift. You must be mindful not to disappear into fantasies of what if, especially during rough patches. You must choose presence over escape. Your spouse must understand your emotional ebb and flow. Some days you'll want deep talks about the nature of the soul. Other days, you'll need silence, music, and solitude. Your partner must not take this personally. You aren't withdrawing, you're recharging. And in those quiet moments, you're processing, dreaming, composing the next wave of love you'll soon offer again. Marriage for you can also be a path of healing. You often carry old wounds, childhood pain, past betrayals, and unspoken insecurities. A loving partner can help you feel safe enough to unpack these, to speak what was once unspeakable. You open up slowly, but once you do, the vulnerability is breathtaking. You do best with a partner who is emotionally intelligent, grounded but not rigid, kind but not passive. Someone who values depth, who believes in growth, who sees love as a sacred collaboration. Water signs like Cancer or Scorpio may intuitively get you, while earth signs like Taurus or Virgo can offer the emotional stability you need without drowning your spirit. You are not a traditionalist, but you will commit for life if you believe in the connection. You don't need lavish weddings or perfect timelines. You need someone who understands you at the level of soul. You need shared vision, shared silence, shared wonder. When marriage works for you, it's not because everything is perfect. It's because two people have chosen each other, again and again, through softness, through storms, through all the phases of becoming. You will give your all, and in return, you deserve nothing less than a love that feels like home. Marriage for you is the art of two spirits intertwining, not losing their identity, but expanding through love. It's not about roles, it's about resonance. It's not about expectations, it's about elevation. When you find this, you don't just stay, you thrive. Sex. Your sexuality as someone born on March 13th is not just physical, it's an extension of your soul, a sacred form of expression that fuses emotion, imagination, energy, and spirit. You don't simply desire touch, you crave connection, vibration, intimacy that sings in silence. For you, sex is the most intimate form of spiritual communion. It's the moment when walls dissolve, when the outside world fades, and when two souls get to speak without words. You don't approach sex with a checklist of acts or outcomes. You approach it like art, fluid, intuitive, poetic. Every kiss, every sigh, every glance becomes part of an unspoken story you write with your partner. You feel most alive when there's emotional safety, when your partner understands that intimacy with you starts in the heart long before it reaches the body. You're not drawn to flings or hookups for the sake of novelty. Casual sex rarely satisfies you because you're wired for emotional electricity. Setting the mood is everything. You love to create an atmosphere where sensuality can blossom naturally. Music that stirs the soul, soft lighting that bathes the room in warmth, a scent that awakens memory. These are your tools of seduction. You're an intuitive lover who tunes into what your partner needs without them saying a word. You can read their body like poetry and respond in kind, not with mechanical action, but with deep attunement and care. Eye contact is one of your love languages. A glance from you can be more intimate than 1,000 touches. You may not always be vocal about what you want, but your body speaks volumes in whispers and sighs. You move with grace, but also with purpose, giving your lover the feeling that they are the only person who exists in your universe at that moment. For you, foreplay isn't a step, it's the journey. The anticipation, the emotional buildup, the shared laughter, the brush of fingers, the stolen glances. You enjoy taking your time, exploring your partner's desires as though you're exploring their essence. Your lovemaking isn't about conquest, it's about creation. It's where you paint with sensation, sculpt with intention, and breathe life into fantasy. But as open and giving as you are, your sensual side is fragile if mishandled. If you sense judgment, coldness, or emotional detachment from your partner, your desire will vanish like mist. You need to feel emotionally safe, seen, and cherished in order to fully open up. Without trust, you'll either emotionally disconnect or avoid intimacy altogether. When you do trust someone, however, you offer a depth of passion that is rare and unforgettable. You bring tenderness and intensity in equal measure. You're not afraid of emotional nakedness. You want to be known, fully, and you want to know your partner beyond skin and muscle, to see their soul behind their eyes. Sex with you is transformative. It heals, it awakens, it shifts energy. It can leave your partner feeling changed, more alive, more connected to something larger than themselves. It's not just sex, it's alchemy. You also hold a private, often unspoken erotic imagination. You may explore fantasies in your mind that you never voice aloud, but if a partner creates a safe, accepting space, you're capable of deep sexual exploration. You value mutual vulnerability and emotional playfulness just as much as physical pleasure. In long-term relationships, your sensuality evolves. You don't tire of your partner. You reinvent intimacy again and again, through new music, shared dreams, emotional deep dives, or simply lying together in silence with your hand on their heart. Even after years, you can make sex feel like a sacred new beginning. Sex, for you, is not a desire. It's a prayer, and you offer it with a heart wide open, asking not for domination, but for union. For surrender, for soul, friendship. Friendship with someone born on March 13th is not just a relationship, it's a spiritual connection, a soulful alliance, a quiet promise to walk beside you in the rain as much as in the sun. You are the kind of friend who doesn't just listen to someone's words, you listen to the spaces between them. You feel what they feel before they even speak. You intuit their pain, their hope, their buried thoughts. You offer a level of compassion that feels like being held, even from afar. Your presence is grounding yet dreamy, calming yet inspiring. You don't just support your friends, you lift them, see them, believe in their goodness when they've forgotten it themselves. When someone is going through grief, heartbreak, confusion, you're the first person they think to call. Not because you fix everything, but because you hold space without needing to. You allow emotions to breathe. Your friendships are marked by emotional loyalty. Once you love someone platonically, you don't let go easily. You forgive deeply, though you may never forget. You give second chances, and sometimes third, because you believe in growth and transformation. You are not afraid of someone's darkness, as long as they're honest. But betrayal or dishonesty cuts you on a level that is hard to repair. You're not the type to need a wide social circle. In fact, you often feel exhausted in large groups, especially if the energy is shallow or performative. You prefer heart-to-heart talks, late-night walks, creative collaborations, or silent companionship where no words are needed. You value intimacy over popularity. Your friendships are poetic in their own way. You might send a friend a song that made you think of them. You might text them something intuitive just as they needed it. You might stay up until 3 a.m. unraveling life's mysteries together. You offer presence over performance, truth over trend, depth over distraction. But because you are so sensitive, you feel friendship losses with a particular sharpness. When you feel rejected, dismissed, or taken for granted, you may not lash out, but you will quietly pull away. You may disappear without explaining, retreating into your inner world where it's safe. You don't like confrontation unless absolutely necessary, and sometimes, unresolved tension may hang silently between you and a friend for far too long. The friends who stick with you are the ones who understand your rhythms. They know you might go quiet for a while but still love deeply. They don't take your need for solitude as disinterest. They don't push you to be social when your spirit craves stillness. They respect your inner ocean and swim with you rather than try to drain it. You're the kind of friend who remembers birthdays, but more importantly, remembers someone's dreams. You show up, not just in moments of joy, but especially in shadows. You'll help someone move their apartment, but you'll also help them move through a heartbreak. Your loyalty isn't loud, it's consistent. Friendship, for you, is sacred. It's not casual, not transactional. It's a soul contract, a chosen family, a spiritual resonance that says, I see you. I'm with you. I won't leave when it gets hard. You may not have many friends, but the ones you do have will remember your love long after the last conversation. Because once someone has touched your heart, you carry them with you, always. Business and career. Professionally, individuals born on March 13th bring something rare and deeply valuable to the table: emotional intelligence fused with visionary creativity. You don't work just to survive, you work to serve your soul's mission. In fact, the very idea of a career can feel limiting if it doesn't align with your inner calling. You are someone who needs meaning in your work. You crave a sense of spiritual contribution, creative freedom, and emotional authenticity in everything you do. When those are absent, no title or paycheck will ever be enough. You are not driven by hierarchy, status, or competition. That world feels hollow to you. You're not interested in climbing someone else's ladder. You want to build your own path, one that feels true to who you are. For you, fulfillment matters more than fame. Beauty matters more than profit. You want to make something that feels timeless, healing, or transformative. Something that carries soul, whether it's a piece of music, a business project, or a one-on-one coaching session. You want your work to matter. You often excel in roles that require empathy, imagination, and subtle perception. Careers in therapy, counseling, holistic healing, art, music, film, writing, and spiritual teaching come naturally to you. But don't be surprised if your talent also crosses into science, innovation, or design, especially when you can bring emotional depth or creative vision to traditionally logical fields. Your gift lies in bridging opposites: heart and mind, intuition and intellect, art and analytics. You are a natural integrator. In a workplace setting, you read the room like no one else. You notice who's tense, who's not saying what they mean, who's secretly struggling. You see under the surface. This allows you to navigate relationships with tact and emotional fluency, although it can also overwhelm you if you don't protect your energy. You often absorb the atmosphere around you, and in high-pressure or toxic environments, this can lead to burnout. You must prioritize workplaces that honor emotional intelligence and spiritual well-being. Structure can be a challenge. You may struggle with routine, time management, or staying focused on linear tasks. Not because you're lazy, but because your mind isn't built for confinement. You think in spirals, stories, sensations. This is why rigid 9-to-5 corporate models often drain you, unless you've found a way to make the work deeply personal or creatively expressive. You thrive when you can follow your flow. You are at your best professionally when you collaborate with grounded, practical people who respect your vision. A business partner who is methodical, consistent, and patient can help balance your dreamy, expansive style. You bring the ideas, the inspiration, the intuitive insight. They bring the process, the precision, the follow-through. When that kind of harmony is achieved, you can create something brilliant and enduring. Be aware of people who mistake your compassion for naivety. In the business world, not everyone operates from integrity, and your open heart can sometimes attract manipulators or energy vampires. Set boundaries. Trust your instincts, but don't assume everyone is well-intentioned. Learn to say no to opportunities that don't feel right, even if they promise success. Your soul always knows when something is off. When you find your lane, you become unstoppable. You can create businesses, brands, or bodies of work that touch people on a deep level. Whether you're healing through words, sound, service, or innovation, your presence will linger. You have the ability to shift culture, elevate consciousness, and bring beauty into industries that desperately need it. but only when you remain connected to your center. Money, for you, is not a goal, it's a tool. You want to earn it ethically and spend it meaningfully. You're not careless with money, but you're also not obsessed with it. What matters more is impact, meaning, resonance, legacy. When you align your career with your inner values, success flows to you, not through force but through flow. March 13th individuals are here to create, to heal, and to uplift. Your work is not separate from who you are, it is an extension of your soul's voice. When you find your true calling, your career becomes a spiritual practice, and the world becomes your canvas. Dark side. Every light casts a shadow, and for those born on March 13th, that shadow can be as deep as the ocean they're ruled by. Your emotional sensitivity, your visionary nature, your boundless compassion, these are your gifts. But when left ungrounded or unprotected, they can turn against you, pulling you into cycles of pain, confusion, and self-erasure. Your most persistent challenge is escapism. When the world becomes too harsh, when your heart breaks too many times, when reality becomes too loud, you retreat. Not just physically, but emotionally, mentally, even spiritually. You disappear into fantasy, daydreams, addictions, or emotional isolation. You become a ghost in your own life, watching but not engaging, longing but not acting. You check out instead of facing what hurts. You also have a tendency toward emotional dependency. Because you love so deeply, you can become overly attached to others for validation, purpose, or comfort. You may find yourself shaping your identity around another person's needs, becoming the caretaker, the therapist, the rescuer, even when it exhausts you. This leads to codependency, imbalance, and deep inner loneliness. Your compassion, while extraordinary, can become martyrdom. You may give so much that there's nothing left for yourself. You absorb other people's pain like a sponge, take on burdens that aren't yours to carry, and bleed empathy until you're emotionally drained. You find it hard to say no, especially to those you love. And in the process, you lose your center. You become everyone's healer but your own. Another shadow lies in your idealism. You tend to see people not as they are, but as who they could be. You fall in love with potential, with possibility, with the idea of who someone might become if only they healed, changed, evolved. This sets you up for heartbreak. Again and again, you may invest your love, time, and energy into people who are incapable of reciprocating it in a healthy way. And even then, you may stay, hoping, waiting, believing. Conflict terrifies you, not because you're weak, but because disharmony feels like emotional chaos. You avoid confrontation, minimize your needs, and swallow your truth to keep the peace. But over time, this creates resentment, miscommunication, and emotional suppression. Your fear of hurting others often leads to hurting yourself. You may also struggle with illusion, blurring the line between what's real and what you wish were true. You convince yourself that things are okay when they're not. You romanticize pain. You find beauty in the broken, but sometimes forget to ask, is this serving me? Is this love, or is this longing in disguise? Unhealed, your shadow can manifest as addiction to love, substances, fantasies, people, chronic indecision, self-sabotage, or burnout from overgiving. But healed, these same traits become your greatest powers. You learn to channel your imagination into art, your empathy into leadership, your sensitivity into intuition. Your healing begins the moment you choose yourself. When you learn to say no without guilt. When you set boundaries not out of fear, but out of self-respect. When you stop trying to save everyone and start honoring your own light. Your soul came here to feel everything, but you must learn to protect what is sacred within you. Your softness is not a flaw. Your depth is not a burden. Your compassion is not a weakness. It is your superpower, when paired with clarity, boundaries, and self-love. Life purpose. Your life purpose, as someone born on March 13th, is not just a role or a profession. It's a sacred calling that threads through every heartbeat, every breath, every intuitive nudge. You are here to serve the world not with force, but with feeling. You are not meant to conform. You are meant to inspire, to awaken, to gently shift the collective consciousness toward beauty, compassion, and deeper meaning. You came here not to repeat the world's noise but to echo the quiet truths most people have forgotten how to hear. At your core, you are a healer, but not always in the traditional sense. You might never wear a white coat or hold a therapy license, yet your words, your presence, your empathy, these are medicine. You heal through the way you listen, through your ability to feel what others feel, through the way your art or actions give others permission to soften. You are a sanctuary in human form, a safe place in a chaotic world. Imagination is your compass. You don't see the world as it is, you see what it could be. While others chase facts and statistics, you chase meaning. You dream up possibilities that haven't been written yet. Whether through visual art, writing, music, spirituality, or entrepreneurship, your path will always involve creating something that didn't exist before. You are a visionary soul, meant to channel divine energy into earthly expression. But your purpose isn't only about creating beauty, it's about transmuting pain. You have the gift of emotional alchemy, turning heartbreak into wisdom, suffering into softness, wounds into windows. You know what it means to be broken, and because of that, you carry the light that helps others find their way out of the dark. Your empathy is not weakness, it's your guide, your superpower, your spiritual GPS. You're here to challenge a world obsessed with speed, competition, and logic. You bring balance by embodying patience, collaboration, and feeling. You remind others that the most important things, love, spirit, presence, connection, can't be measured but are felt. You are the proof that softness is strength, that intuition is intelligence, that stillness is a form of motion. Your challenge, however, is to protect your light while offering it. You must learn to ground your dreams in reality, to turn vision into action, to weave structure into inspiration. You are capable of brilliant ideas, but without focus and boundaries, those ideas can scatter. Your journey is to bridge the gap between what you feel and what you do. Between your inner world and the outer one. You must stop waiting for permission. No one will give it to you. You already have it, written in your soul, etched into your intuition. You are not here to follow someone else's blueprint. You are here to build your own, and in doing so, show others how to trust their inner voice. Your life purpose isn't loud, it's luminous. It lives in the way you comfort a stranger, the way you see through someone's mask, the way your writing brings a person to tears. You were born to remind humanity of its heart, to bring the unseen into form, to turn emotion into impact. You are the dream that becomes the bomb, the poet who becomes the teacher, the mystic who becomes the mentor. You are here to live fully, love fiercely, and leave the world softer than you found it. That is your true work. Numerology, Life Path 4. If your full birth date reveals a life path number 4, your life is a story of building sacred structure from spiritual vision. While March 13th Pisces are often known for their dreamy nature, a 4 life path introduces the powerful element of grounding and discipline. You were meant to bridge the spiritual and the practical, to create systems, foundations, or tangible results from your deeply intuitive insights. Life Path 4s are builders, not just of homes or businesses, but of legacies. You are here to master the art of stability, hard work, and consistency. In many ways, this may feel like a contrast to your fluid, imaginative inner world, but it's a divine balance. You are not here to float forever, you're here to root your dreams in something real. To make the invisible visible. Your soul chose a path that requires effort, but not struggle. Diligence, not burnout. Structure, not rigidity. When you resist your 4 energy, you may feel frustrated, scattered, or perpetually stuck in planning mode. But when you embrace it, you become a powerful channel for divine purpose to manifest on earth. Your path is about sustainable impact, creating something that lasts, that grows, that nourishes others. You may feel torn at times between the safety of routine and the call of freedom. But your purpose lies in blending both. You must create a life where your spiritual, emotional, and creative gifts are not only honored but structured in a way that allows them to flourish. The key is to remember that discipline is not the opposite of intuition, it's its amplifier. If your number is instead Life Path 8, a different type of purpose unfolds. Here, you are called to power, mastery, and leadership. The 8 is the number of influence, success, and material achievement, but not for ego. You were meant to rise, to command resources, to lead with integrity, and to teach others the spiritual side of ambition. At your highest, the 8 life path makes you a spiritual CEO. You're meant to create wealth not just for yourself, but as a tool to uplift others. You are here to prove that success and soul are not opposites, that you can be both driven and divinely aligned. Both paths, 4 and 8, require self-awareness. If unbalanced, the 4 can become rigid, fearful, or overly cautious, while the 8 can veer into control, material obsession, or emotional detachment. But when grounded in your Piscean heart, both numbers become tools of sacred transformation. Your numerology reminds you that you are not only meant to feel, you are meant to build. Not only meant to dream, you are meant to lead. You are here to give form to your soul's message and to share it, not just softly, but boldly. In every choice you make, remember, you are a lighthouse. And the world is waiting for your light. Druid Tree Horoscope, Fig Tree. In the ancient Druid Tree horoscope, individuals born on March 13 fall under the mystical and deeply symbolic Fig Tree, which governs souls born between March 12 and March 21. The fig tree isn't just a tree, it's a mirror of a very specific kind of spirit. To be born under its influence is to carry within you an extraordinary mix of emotional refinement, artistic brilliance, soulful independence, and nurturing power. This is not a common blend. It's the essence of a healer artist, a gentle warrior, and a dreamer who feels everything, and still finds the strength to protect what they love. Fig tree individuals are born to express. Whether it's through music, painting, language, movement, or just the way they style their surroundings, self-expression isn't a choice, it's a necessity. You see the world differently. You feel in colors. You think in patterns. Your creativity isn't a hobby, it's oxygen. If you're not expressing yourself, you begin to shrink emotionally. That's why environments that allow freedom, imagination, and individuality are essential for your well-being. Restriction, monotony, or rigid expectations suffocate your spark. One of your most enchanting traits is your charm. You may not even try to be magnetic, it simply happens. There's something in the way you smile, the way you speak, the way you listen. You draw people in with your warmth, your thoughtfulness, your ability to make others feel seen. And though you often radiate kindness and humor, there's also a quiet mystery about you. People sense that there's more beneath the surface, and they're right. Loyalty is sacred to you. Once you love someone, whether romantically, platonically, or professionally, you offer yourself wholeheartedly. You're not the type to drift in and out of people's lives. You stay, you nurture, you protect, you remember the details, you hold space when others fall apart. And because of that, people come to rely on you, sometimes too much. You have to be careful not to give so much that you disappear. Burnout is one of the biggest risks for fig tree natives. You often place others' needs above your own. You might care so deeply that you forget to recharge. You want to be everything for everyone, but in doing so, you may sacrifice your own voice, your own energy, your own peace. Learning to say no with grace is one of your most important life lessons. Not every crisis is yours to solve. Not every pain is yours to absorb. As a natural nurturer, your energy is maternal, protective, and healing. You're the friend who shows up at 2 a.m., the partner who senses what's wrong before a word is spoken, the colleague who goes the extra mile to make someone feel appreciated. But for this care to be sustainable, you must first give it to yourself. You must turn that same loving attention inward. You are not here just to support others. You are here to flourish, to create, to be whole. Solitude is sacred for you. Though you love deeply and often attract many admirers, you require periods of quiet. You recharge in stillness. You regain clarity when the noise dies down. In these moments, you reconnect with your essence, your purpose, your inner wisdom. Don't ignore this need, it's what keeps your spirit alive. The fig tree also carries a unique relationship with the past. You may have a deep connection to your ancestry, your roots, your cultural identity, or feel drawn to ancient wisdom and spiritual practices. You're not here to live on the surface. You're here to dig deep, to explore, to remember. In love, you're romantic but not naive. You crave deep emotional intimacy but also value your independence. The ideal partner for a fig tree soul is someone who honors both your softness and your strength, someone who inspires your creativity without trying to contain it. Professionally, you thrive in roles where you can blend intuition and artistry: designer, therapist, writer, healer, teacher, counselor, performer. You're not driven by status, but by soul. Work, for you, must feel meaningful. Otherwise, it drains you. The fig tree is both fruit and shelter. You are both giver and creator. And your life's work is to find that balance between nurturing others and nourishing yourself. You are not just part of the world, you're here to make it more beautiful, more compassionate, more human. Vedic Astrology, Purva Bhadrapada Nakshatra. In Vedic astrology, those born on March 13th typically fall under the powerful and enigmatic nakshatra known as Purva Bhadrapada, governed by the expansive planet Jupiter. This lunar mansion is symbolized by the front legs of a funeral cot, representing transformation, depth, and the duality of existence. To be born under this nakshatra is to walk between worlds, to carry the vibration of both fire and water, death and rebirth, intellect and intuition. You are here to be a bridge between the material and the mystical. There's an undeniable intensity in your presence. Even when you speak softly or act modestly, people sense that you carry deep power, power not in dominance, but in wisdom. You often feel like an old soul, someone who has lived many lifetimes. You are drawn to the mysterious, the symbolic, the spiritual. You want to know why things happen, not just how. Surface answers don't satisfy you. You crave the hidden truths. Purva Bhadrapada natives are visionaries. Your mind is capable of long-range thought, philosophical musings, and spiritual breakthroughs. You see patterns where others see chaos. You understand the symbolic nature of reality, how every coincidence might be a sign, how every emotion has a spiritual origin. This makes you an ideal mystic, psychologist, scholar, healer, or spiritual teacher. But with this insight comes complexity. Emotionally, you often carry contradictions. On one hand, you're deeply spiritual and idealistic. On the other, you wrestle with private struggles, inner fears, insecurities, or past wounds that you may keep hidden from the world. You may present a composed or intellectual exterior while enduring silent emotional storms within. You have an instinct to protect others from your darkness, to shoulder your pain privately, to be the strong one when others are falling apart. While noble, this can lead to emotional isolation. You must allow yourself to be seen. You must remember that vulnerability is not weakness, it is the gateway to true connection. There's also a fire within you. This nakshatra is associated with the element of Asia Ekapada, a storm deity who brings both purification and disruption. As a result, you may feel called to challenge outdated systems, question societal norms, or walk paths that others fear. You are not content with shallow truths or blind conformity. Your soul demands authenticity, and that sometimes means being the rebel, the outsider, or the quiet revolutionary. Solitude is essential to your spiritual development. You are not always meant to follow the crowd. You need time away to process, to study, to meditate, to receive divine insight. In solitude, you don't just rest, you transform. You are capable of enormous inner evolution, especially when you surrender to silence. Relationships can be complex for you. You seek deep, soulful bonds, but you also need space and freedom. You want a partner who understands that your love is vast but not always conventional. You are loyal, devoted, and deeply romantic, but also fiercely independent. Your love language is transformation. If a relationship doesn't grow your soul, it eventually withers. Career-wise, you are gifted with strategy, eloquence, and big-picture thinking. You are the kind of person who can lead quietly, influence profoundly, and teach powerfully. Whether you choose a path of spiritual leadership, psychology, philosophy, science, or creativity, your work must align with a higher truth. You are not meant to chase money, you are here to create meaning. Purva Bhadrapada is a nakshatra of intensity, initiation, and inner fire. Those born under it are here to pierce illusion, awaken consciousness, and walk with courage through the shadowlands of the soul. You may not always have an easy path, but you are never without purpose. Your life is not about fitting in. It's about becoming exactly who you were always meant to be, a visionary, a seeker, a light in the dark. Floral horoscope, water lily. Your flower is the water lily, a breathtaking symbol of quiet strength, mystic grace, and transcendent rebirth. To be born under the influence of the water lily is to carry a kind of wisdom that can't be taught, only remembered. Just like the flower that blooms in still ponds from muddy waters below, your life is a journey of rising, again and again, from emotional complexity into clarity, from sorrow into serenity, from darkness into light. The water lily doesn't bloom in haste. It opens when it's ready, deliberately, delicately, with reverence for the moment. You embody this same sacred rhythm. You are not rushed by trends, pressures, or external noise. You live by your inner clock, your own tides. You move at the speed of feeling. This frustrates some, but for those who understand you, your emotional pacing is part of your magic. You are proof that stillness is power, and softness is strength. People born under the water lily flower sign often experience emotional depth that others cannot comprehend. You feel everything on a cellular level: joy, grief, longing, love, disappointment. But unlike some who are overwhelmed by such intensity, you learn to float in it, to breathe underwater. This is your gift. You know how to sit in sadness without drowning, how to find grace in grief, how to carry silence without being consumed by it. You're not only emotionally intuitive, you're spiritually intuitive. You pick up on energies, atmospheres, and subtle shifts in people's moods long before they say a word. Your instincts are strong, your gut feelings accurate, and your dreams often prophetic. You live with one foot in this world and one foot in the unseen. You sense patterns others miss. You understand emotional language without translation. Creativity is one of your soul's primary languages. Whether through music, poetry, painting, journaling, photography, or even the way you cook or decorate your home, you find ways to turn feeling into form. When you express yourself, others are moved, not just because of what you say, but because of how deeply they feel it. You translate emotion into beauty. You turn silence into song. Like the lily rooted in mud, you have likely endured more than most. Life may have placed you in painful, murky, or uncertain environments, emotionally, relationally, spiritually. And yet, each time, you bloom. You don't deny pain, you alchemize it. You rise through it, you allow it to soften you, never harden you. You teach others by example that beauty is not the absence of darkness, but the transformation of it. Your presence is soothing. You may not always speak loudly, but when you do, your words carry weight. People feel calmer around you, even if they don't know why. You radiate stillness. Your energy feels like water, gentle yet powerful, calm yet deep, quiet yet emotionally resonant. You often attract those who are hurt, lost, or seeking peace. Be mindful not to absorb their weight. You're here to inspire healing, not carry everyone's burdens. In relationships, you are a deeply romantic, nurturing, and loyal partner. But you also require space, reflection, and emotional honesty. You can't pretend, you can't fake connection. You crave soulful intimacy, a merging of hearts and minds. You're not interested in superficial flirtation. You want the kind of love that heals, awakens, and expands. A love that's written in soul language. The water lily's challenge lies in learning to trust its own brilliance. You sometimes doubt your worth, downplay your gifts, or hide your light to avoid attention. You're humble by nature, but don't mistake humility for invisibility. You were born to bloom, not blend in. You carry a sacred softness this world needs. Don't apologize for it. Your emotional intelligence, your resilience, your creative soul, these are not just personality traits. They are your divine tools. You are not a passive presence in life. You are an emotional architect, a spiritual artist, a quiet revolution. And like the lily that opens under the sun, you bloom most beautifully when you allow yourself to be fully seen. Gemstone, aquamarine. Your gemstone is aquamarine, a shimmering, sea blue crystal of clarity, intuition, and emotional purity. More than just a beautiful stone, aquamarine is a spiritual companion for the March 13th soul. It mirrors your nature, fluid, deep, calming, and wise. To wear or meditate with aquamarine is to invite yourself home, to the inner waters of your soul, where truth lives and peace begins. Aquamarine is known as the stone of the sea, and like the ocean, it holds both vast stillness and uncharted depth. It resonates with your sensitive, introspective spirit. When you are overwhelmed by emotion, aquamarine doesn't numb you, it clears the fog. It gently invites you to see your truth without judgment. It doesn't suppress, it soothes. This crystal has long been associated with spiritual protection, especially for empaths and intuitives. As someone who absorbs emotions like a sponge, aquamarine acts as a filter, keeping toxic energies at bay while amplifying your inner voice. It strengthens your boundaries without hardening your heart. It reminds you that you can be open without being exposed. One of aquamarine's greatest gifts is communication. As a Pisces born on March 13th, you often struggle to articulate the depth of what you feel. Words can feel too small for your oceanic emotions. Aquamarine helps bridge that gap. It supports honest, heartfelt expression. It helps you speak your truth with clarity and compassion, especially when you're afraid of being misunderstood or rejected. Aquamarine also calms anxiety, which can plague you when the emotional or energetic world becomes too chaotic. Its presence slows your breath, centers your thoughts, and brings your nervous system into balance. It's an ideal stone to keep close during moments of stress, conflict, or inner doubt. It reminds you, peace is not something you find, it's something you return to. This gem is also connected to your throat and heart chakras, linking emotion and expression, intuition and truth. It helps you align your inner knowing with your outer voice. You don't just feel deeply, you begin to speak, create, and live deeply as well. Wearing aquamarine as jewelry, especially as a pendant near the throat, can amplify your intuitive insights and protect your emotional body throughout the day. Placing it under your pillow enhances dream recall and spiritual clarity. Holding it during meditation can help you connect with your higher self, release old fears, and find the courage to speak with authenticity. Symbolically, aquamarine reminds you of your power to navigate emotion with grace. You are not a victim to waves, you are the swimmer. You are the current, you are the tide. Aquamarine doesn't change who you are, it strengthens who you already are. When you allow this gemstone to become part of your daily ritual, you don't just wear a crystal, you wear your essence. Calm, clear, intuitive, and strong. Aquamarine is not a shield against feeling, it's a guide into deeper, truer feeling. It honors your softness while activating your strength. Let aquamarine be your anchor. Let it remind you that your peace is your power, your voice is your magic, and your sensitivity is your greatest form of intelligence. Final thought. March 13th souls are not ordinary, they are ethereal architects of emotion, dreamers disguised as humans, visionaries wrapped in tenderness. You are here to do more than simply exist. You are here to awaken, to soften, to inspire. Your presence alone is an antidote to a hardened world. Where others fight to be seen, you create spaces where people feel safe to be real. Where others chase power, you embody presence. Where others fear feeling too much, you were born to feel everything, and transform it into meaning. You were not meant to blend in. You were not designed for straight lines, sharp edges, or standard timelines. You're a soul sculpted from fluidity, a heart tuned to frequencies most people don't even hear. You don't just live life, you interpret it, translate it, elevate it. You see beneath the surface, love between the words, and dream beyond the walls. Your very being reminds others that there is beauty in vulnerability, strength in stillness, and wisdom in emotion. Your depth is not a burden, it is your design. It allows you to notice what others overlook. You catch the flicker of pain in a stranger's eye. You hear the truth between syllables. You feel when something is off, long before it's spoken. And even if that sensitivity sometimes hurts, it is also the source of your compassion, your insight, your magic. You were born to read the emotional temperature of the world, and gently shift it toward healing. Pain may have shaped you, but it did not break you. It taught you how to rebuild, how to bloom from the ruins, how to love fiercely even when it's risky. It made you a warrior of the heart, quiet but unwavering. You carry ancient knowledge in your blood and future wisdom in your voice. You don't have to scream to be powerful. Your stillness is its own revolution. Protect your light, not because it's fragile, but because it's rare. Guard your intuition, not with walls, but with discernment. You don't owe everyone access to your magic. Not every soul is ready for your softness, your truth, your vision. Give wisely, not endlessly. Remember, being loving doesn't mean being available to all. You are here to heal, but you must not disappear in the process. Ground yourself. Ground your emotions, your dreams, your hopes, your heartbreaks. Build rituals that support your sensitivity, whether it's writing, walking in nature, meditating, creating art, or simply breathing deeply in silence. Your grounding is not the opposite of your magic, it is what allows it to flourish. The more rooted you are in your truth, the more expansive your reach becomes. And never forget, your emotions are not weaknesses to be managed. They are spells, signals, sacred data. They are how your soul speaks to you. Listen, feel, follow. Don't let a hardened world convince you to numb what makes you alive. You weren't born to be logical, you were born to be luminous. You are not just a person with feelings, you are a channel of grace. The universe didn't make a mistake in giving you such a tender heart. It gave you that heart because it trusted you to know what to do with it. So let it speak, let it write, let it create, let it lead. You were not meant to save the whole world, but you will light up the part of it you touch, and in doing so, you'll remind others that magic still exists, not in fireworks but in soul fire. Not in noise, but in quiet knowing. Not in perfection, but in presence. March 13th, you are a soul sculpted from stardust and empathy. Protect your light, honor your intuition, stay grounded in your truth, and the world will follow your gentle lead. You are not just feeling, you are magic.